Imagine messing up so absurdly bad that you accidentally rewrite Hollywood history forever. Two complete yellow nobodies were about to ruin a multi-million-dollar movie set, but ended up becoming global icons instead. This is the insane story of how pure chaotic energy low-key created the biggest cinematic empire on Earth. We start off at a super mid-museum tour where the guide is trying way too hard to flex Hollywood lore. She flexes iconic cinematic props and legendary actors, but the audience is straight up unimpressed. The exhibit is supposed to be this magical tribute, but the energy in the room is totally dead. One bored kid is literally begging his mom to let him leave because this tour is dragging. The guide straight up confiscates his phone so he cannot call for backup to escape. She then hypes up two mystery statues that supposedly carry the entire film industry on their backs. She claims that without these two specific guys, modern pop culture would not even exist. The crowd gives her a collective blank stare because no one has ever heard of James and Henry. The guide insists these yellow legends did not just break Hollywood, they broke the entire world. She throws out the planned schedule and decides to drop their actual backstory on these confused tourists. She forces everyone to take a seat because this narrative is about to get wildly chaotic. Rewinding back millions of years, tribes of minions wandered the earth searching for the ultimate villain. Among all these chaos goblins, one guy named James had major creative energy. Instead of plotting destruction, James just wanted to draw art and tell stories to his homies. He keeps trying to show off his cute little sketchbooks, but his tribe thinks he is weird. The rest of the tribe had absolute zero interest in artistic vibes or emotional depth. Their only goal in life was serving the absolute nastiest master they could possibly find. They finally found a massive cyclops monster who checked every single evil requirement. To them, this giant terrifying tyrant was an absolute 10 out of 10 villainous masterpiece. The tribe treated him like absolute royalty, catering to his every single toxic demand. But James wanted to flex his artistic skills and build a special surprise tribute for his boss. He enthusiastically presents a custom drawing right to the giant Cyclops' face. Naturally, his wholesome gesture triggers a massive accident that gets the whole tribe banished. Every single minion is completely furious with James for ruining their ultimate dream job. Except for one weird dude named Henry, who low-key thought the entire disaster was hilarious. This guy owned a terrifying spellbook loaded with high-level forbidden dark magic. He explicitly warns both of them never to touch his dark grimoire under any circumstances. Of course, James and Henry cannot resist and immediately start messing with the dark magic. They mispronounce a curse and accidentally turn a horrifying demon into an adorable little bunny. Just like that, their goofy mistake cooks another boss, leaving the tribe completely unemployed again. Even though they keep accidentally ruining careers, James and Henry's bond only gets stronger. The other minions are salty, especially a deaf buddy named Ed who struggles to understand them. So the duo comes up with a silly custom sign language just to keep Ed in the loop. What follows is a tragic montage of losing evil boss after evil boss across human history. Eventually, the villain market completely dries up, leaving the tribe with zero prospects. They end up hopelessly wandering through a barren desert, totally exhausted and cooked. A super aggressive minion named Dick steps up and starts bossing everyone around. Because James and Henry will not stop giggling, Dick orders them to sleep far away from the group. The duo does not even care, using the peaceful night sky to stay up and talk. They lay under the stars, sharing their deepest artistic dreams while everyone else sleeps. Dick hears their late-night chatter and completely loses his mind from pure frustration. He walks over and starts unleashing insane verbal toxicity at both of them. Henry gets so fed up with the disrespect that he decides violence is the only option. Ed steps in to act as a peacemaker, telling Henry to take a deep breath and chill. Then Ed pulls a total plot twist and clocks Dick right in the face himself. Just as the entire camp is about to erupt into a bloody civil war, a sudden miracle happens. Dick spots a roaring steam train in the distance carrying what looks like an ultimate boss. The entire tribe gets hit with pure adrenaline and sprints full speed toward the tracks. They start screaming at each other to hustle and leap onto the speeding train cars. The minions start swarming the moving engine like absolute reckless maniacs. James and Henry accidentally trip up top, triggering massive structural mayhem. They yank the train whistle, sending out loud chaotic blasts across the entire valley. The terrified guy inside the conductor car screams for his life as yellow bodies rain down. Suddenly a furious director yells cut and starts screaming at the top of his lungs. Turns out, they did not crash a real train, they invaded an actual Hollywood movie set. The stressed director loses his mind over how much money and production time was just wasted. He orders security to throw every single one of those little yellow intruders off the property. He unloads a multi-language rage rant, physically shoving them off the set. To make matters 10 times worse, the cameraman reveals they just ran out of physical film stock. The crew realizes the big studio executive is about to show up and fire everybody involved. The crew fears the boss will execute an immediate career banishment on the director. The assistant sarcastically suggests sending champagne for the director's tragic last birthday. Right on cue, the high-stakes studio executive Mr. Bright arrives on set with big main character energy. Mr. Bright demands to review the freshly shot train scene inside the screening room instantly. The director stammers uncontrollably, trying to prep him for the unmitigated disaster on film. The executive acts all cool, claiming production issues are just fun puzzles for friends to solve. But he instantly flips the mood, warning that if this scene is trash, heads will roll. He explicitly threatens the director with a permanent banishment from the entire movie industry. He adds a brutally sarcastic insult about him finding a new job in some middle-of-nowhere town. They hit play on the projector, and Mr. Bright gasps in absolute shock at the footage. The director starts sweating bullets, preparing to get executed professionally on the spot. The executive realizes the original dramatic script was completely thrown out the window. Instead of firing him, Mr. Bright screams in pure hype that this ruined scene is an absolute masterpiece. Max is tearing through the streets like an absolute madman trying to track down these mysterious yellow creatures. Meanwhile, suffragette protesters are swarming the sidewalks and creating low-key chaos in the city. Max spots the little dudes in the massive crowd and orders his driver to pull up fast before they disappear. He swings the car door wide open and yells that he has been hunting for these absolute legends all day. He tries asking for their names, but their chaotic language leaves him completely confused. Realizing that individual introductions are taking way too long, Max asks if there is one simple group title. He officially introduces himself as Max Bright, a struggling filmmaker who desperately needs a massive breakthrough hit. Max apologizes for the crazy car chase earlier and begs the minions to partner up with him. The minions give him blank stares when he drops the grand pitch to step into Hollywood. Max breaks it down, explaining that films are magical stories that unfold right in front of an audience. He promises them that global audiences worship the icons who create cinematic magic. Hyped up on the vision, Max brings them straight to Bright Brothers Pictures studio lot. The film crew hurries into position to prep the stage for an immediate camera test. Max calls the very first scene, and the boys are already serving pure main character energy. Max cannot contain his hype after witnessing their weirdly natural charismatic presence on screen. He zeroes in on James' energetic vibe and commends his passion for the craft. Max turns to the rest of the gang and asks if they want to chase top-tier Hollywood glory. Even though they babble about finding a big boss, Max completely ignores it and pushes straight into production. He places them in the center of the studio stage to test their raw dramatic acting skills. Max sets up a terrifying high-stakes scenario involving massive, weapon-toting mercenaries surrounding them. He warns them that these scary hitmen think they committed a murder and are out for blood. Max demands that they bring maximum emotion to convince him they are elite movie stars. He guarantees that if they crush this intense audition, they will walk away with an official studio contract. But if they flop, they get tossed back onto the brutal streets to scavenge for scraps like complete nobodies. Max slaps the clapperboard shut and unleashes complete chaotic performance on set. The test ends up being absolute cinema, and Max asks if they are ready for planetary fame. He promises to transform them into the most famous icons the entertainment world has ever witnessed. Fast forward to 1927, and the silver screen is officially entering a historic golden era. The boom economy is skyrocketing to unheard-of heights with zero signs of stopping. People are happier than ever, and the future of motion pictures looks unstoppable. Out of nowhere, these yellow legends dominate the cinema space and take the world by storm. They fundamentally change the entertainment industry forever by starring in relentless blockbuster hits. The Minions officially claim their crowns as the undisputed supreme rulers of the box office. Global audiences go totally feral for them, demanding endless content from their favorite little icons. The boys secure a multi-million-dollar Beverly Hills mansion equipped with an insane private arcade room. Their status climbs so high that stepping outside without getting swarmed by paparazzi is practically impossible. They flex their new wealth by constantly shopping for the freshest, high-fashion drip in Tinseltown. The elite crowd realizes Hollywood has never experienced wilder or classier parties than the ones hosted by the boys. The Minions are sitting on top of the world with infinite money, ultimate clout, and peak celebrity lifestyle. Max takes notice that James low-key possesses a mind-blowing genius for director vision. Project will now include real audio sound. Max feels super confident that this technological jump will make their studio untouchable. The stage goes dead silent as the director calls for quiet on set to roll the sound record. The audio tape starts spinning while the Minions prepare to deliver spoken dialogue for the first time ever. The lead actress drops a heavy dramatic line about a lost lover returning unannounced. She screams her monologue with maximum emotional intensity right into the hot microphone. She pours her absolute heart out, giving a masterclass performance in classic Hollywood drama. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, crew members casually order coffee without realizing the mics are super sensitive. When the Minions start blabbering gibberish and ruining the audio, the studio heads completely lose their minds. The talkie transition utterly tanks, draining millions of dollars from the studio overnight. The furious studio boss points the finger straight at Max and his yellow actors for the massive financial flopping. The studio instantly boots them out the door, terminating their contract on the spot. The bosses sarcastically tell them to leave forever and pretend they were never close friends. They brutally mock James, declaring he will never win a single award in his lifetime. The executives scream at Max and his whole crew that their careers are officially cooked. Max remains classy despite the brutal firing and bids farewell to the legendary film directors. Max turns to James and reassures him that getting canned is just a temporary bump in the road. He encourages James to keep dreaming big because he is destined for pure greatness. Back at the communal living space, James sadly bids goodnight to the rest of the Minion squad. The rest of the tribe warns James that Minions are meant to serve villains, not direct motion pictures. Determined to prove them wrong, James sneaks over to Max's place to pitch his ultimate dream script. Max looks over the concept and admits it is a super fire passion project that needs to be brought to life. He pushes James to create it no matter how impossible the odds appear. Max breaks down the practical reality of independent filmmaking to the ambitious young Minion. He asks if James possesses any high-end camera equipment, and James sadly shakes his head no. Max realizes James cooked up a gigantic monster movie script without having any production budget. He points out that bringing a massive terrifying creature to the big screen requires real resources. Max drops serious wisdom, warning him that epic kaiju movies demand legendary attention to detail. He stresses that the advice he is about to give will make or break his entire directorial future. Max explains that to pull off an insane monster movie, he needs an equally insane, terrifying creature. To help him start his journey, Max hands over his most valuable personal camera inherited directly from his father. James just secured the ultimate win, but the real chaos is only getting started. Because every legendary film needs an absolutely terrifying creature to break the box office. Our guy Ed low-key came through, leaving James hyped to finally craft his masterpiece. But while James celebrates, the narrator pulls us right back into the central plot. Dick and his yellow squad were still desperately searching for the ultimate villain to serve. It is literally encoded in their DNA to hunt down the most ruthless boss on the planet. Suddenly, an alien tyrant named Dort broadcasts a chilling warning directly to Earth. Dort boasts that he was deployed by a cosmic overlord to pass judgment on humanity. He immediately demands some ruthless henchmen to help him carry out his evil agenda. Bystanders totally ignore his villain speech, treating him like a complete joke. But Dort does not take disrespect lightly as he zeroes in on a group of local tough guys. He offers these muscle-bound dudes a shot at total planetary domination. The gang instantly roasts his suit, completely unaware of the absolute storm brewing. Dort insists his high-tech armor is totally legit, but the local bullies double down on the disrespect. They mock him relentlessly, practically begging for a devastating beatdown. Sensing danger, Dort warns them to back off before things turn extremely violent. The street gang pushes him too far, officially igniting an intergalactic threat. Interrupting his planetary judgment mission turns out to be a fatal mistake for humanity. Dort declares full-scale invasion, officially sealing Earth's doomed fate. Dick spots this absolute menace and instantly knows he found his new master. Dort accepts the Yellow Squad and recruits them straight into his villainous crew. Meanwhile, James accidentally releases a mysterious ancient beast from a glowing book. This shape-shifting shadow creature is beyond relieved to finally taste true freedom. The monster bows before James, promising absolute loyalty to his magical savior. But Henry freaks out, trying to protect James from getting eaten alive. The shadowy beast panics, thinking he somehow offended his new yellow master. When James explains he needs real creatures for a movie, the beast gets an insane idea. He promises to lead the crew straight to the ultimate giant kaijus in existence. He introduces himself as Gumi, a chaotic entity with main character energy. Gumi instantly vibes with the squad, treating James like a Hollywood prodigy. He even hypes up Henry, completely unaware of the dark nightmare ahead. Back with Dort, he escorts the minions into what he calls his evil villain hideout. But his intimidating aura vanishes when his terrifying landlord confronts him. The high-tech conqueror instantly turns humble, bribing her with delicious baked goods. Mrs. Konikoff demands her specific treats, treating the cosmic invader like an errand boy. Dort vows to spare her from the planetary slaughter purely out of respect. He introduces his roommate Floyd, trying desperately to keep his tough street cred. Dort panics when Dick questions why the secret lair looks like a trashy city apartment. He claims the dingy flat is actually a super advanced camouflage mechanism. He retreats behind a bedroom door to lock in and contact his alien overlords. Dort locks himself away, leaving the squad completely amazed by his alien tech. Over in Gumi's squad, the shadow creature is hyping up James' cinematic vision. James is soaking in the praise, fully locked into his dream of becoming a legendary director. Gumi brings the boys to an ominous subterranean entrance hidden deep in the wilds. Suddenly, Dort emerges with ultimate official invasion orders from the Supreme Ruler. The countdown to total global destruction has officially hit 0. Dort snaps at the loud noise, demanding total stealth for their villain march. Dort marches into the public domain, shouting his global takeover to terrified citizens. He instantly collides with a tiny kid on the beach building a sand fortress. The kid hits him with a plastic shovel, completely violating the alien conqueror. Dort prepares to destroy the child's life work in brutal retaliation. A fierce activist named Debbie interrupts, stopping him right in his tracks. Dort insists on discipline, but Debbie is completely unfazed by his killer robot suit. He tries flexing his terrifying galactic origin, but she completely ignores it. Debbie explains she is marching for equal rights, sparking a bizarre conversation. Dort genuinely agrees, reasoning that all humans are equally trash under alien rule. Debbie finds his bizarre logic adorable, completely throwing the alien off balance. As she marches off, Dort gets instantly struck by love, freezing his invasion mid-sentence. Stunned by her aura, Dort literally puts planetary takeover on pause to follow her. Meanwhile, Gumi guides James' team into the absolute abyss of Patagonia. He hypes up the ancient monsters sleeping in the shadows, pushing the boys inside. They enter a colossal underground cavern dripping with apocalyptic danger. Gumi drops a terrifying warning that these beasts might low-key try to eat them alive. Howard and Phillips, two gigantic legendary kaijus, awaken with bloodthirsty energy. The giant beasts thank Gumi for unleashing them back into the mortal world. They instantly plan to unleash total carnage and incinerate the entire planet. Phillips literally eyes the yellow minions as a tasty mid-apocalypse snack. Gumi steps in, stopping their demonic instincts with a whole new proposition. The kaijus are low-key confused because apocalyptic destruction is literally their job. Gumi tricks them into pivoting from world domination to big-screen Hollywood acting. He sells them on becoming global movie stars instead of basic villains. James is absolutely ecstatic, believing his dream film is finally coming together. But Henry senses the pure, unhinged evil lurking inside these massive beasts. Henry desperately tries to warn James that these monsters are cooked and unsafe. Blinded by ambition, James ignores the extreme red flags and forces the crew forward. Howard is utterly baffled by these tiny creatures controlling giant world-ending kaijus. As they rush toward Hollywood, the danger level hits an absolute all-time high. James proudly shows off his movie set to the monsters, totally unaware of the chaotic scheme brewing right under his nose. Gumi plays along with James's wild creative vision, hyping up his filmmaking dreams just to keep him distracted. Howard low-key admits he does not care about cinema at all and just wants to crush and devour everything in sight. The monster crew pulls a quick sidebar to question Gumi's sudden career pivot into Hollywood directing. They remind him that back in the day, they were all about planetary destruction, not making blockbuster movies. Gumi reassures them that directing this movie is actually just a massive cover story to execute their ultimate plan. He reveals that when cameras roll, they are going to unleash Irene, the Eater of Worlds, directly onto Earth. Howard gets way too hyped about total destruction and starts shouting, making an absolute scene. Henry accidentally overhears the entire evil plan, forcing the monsters to grab him and tackle him to the floor. When James walks over, they frantically hide Henry behind their backs and cover it up with fake monster enthusiasm. Gumi pitches the idea of starting the film by summoning Irene as the ultimate opening scene hype. He gaslights James into believing Irene will give his movie the main character energy it desperately needs. Totally hooked by the idea, James enthusiastically agrees to start shooting the big ritual scene right away. On filming day, Gumi lies to James, claiming Henry apologized for his bad attitude and wants to help out. Gumi claims Henry thought the scene was missing a sacrifice to establish the villain's threat level. He tells James that Henry totally volunteered to get eaten on camera as the movie's first victim. Muffled and tied up in the background, poor Henry tries to scream, but James mistakes it for intense acting commitment. James thinks Henry is giving an Oscar-worthy performance and gets hyped to roll cameras. Ed steps up as camera operator, completely clueless that they are about to film an actual apocalypse. Gumi politely asks to join the scene, acting modest while secretly setting up the doom spell. James gives him full permission, completely unbothered as the dark magic setup begins. James starts reading the ancient incantation dramatically, thinking it is pure script dialogue. As the words echo out, dark smoke and purple lightning begin to crackle across the set. The sky turns pitch black as a dimensional rift starts ripping open above them. The full ritual completes, and the ground literally splits open under terrifying dark magic. Out of the fiery void emerges Irene, a colossal, orange, gooey nightmare entity. James is absolutely mesmerized by her size and color, thinking his movie visuals are cooked to perfection. Gumi immediately orders Irene to devour Henry and unleash total destruction on the planet. Irene reaches her massive slimy tentacles straight toward a panicked Henry. Realizing Henry is actually in danger, James tries to yell cut, but Irene refuses to stop her feast. Irene reveals she has been waiting eons to break free and wipe out humanity once and for all. Horror sets in for James as he finally realizes the monsters played him like an absolute fool. Meanwhile, across town, Debbie and her robot boyfriend Dort are enjoying a romantic date. Debbie confesses that Dort is completely different from any other guy because he actually listens to her. Dort low-key validates her feelings, proving he is the ultimate emotionally intelligent robot companion. Their peaceful moment is suddenly shattered as James comes sprinting into view, screaming for help. James begs Dort to use his massive mechanical strength to save Henry from the giant kaiju. Debbie hype trains Dort, telling him that no giant monster stands a chance against her man. Dort looks at the absolute size of Irene and low-key panics, instantly ordering a tactical retreat instead. Everyone scatterruns as Irene rampages through the set, smashing everything in her path. Gumi corners Henry, thinking this is the literal end of the line for his enemy. Irene towers over Henry, ready to swallow him whole in front of everyone. Just when all hope seems lost, James and the minions burst onto the scene in full tactical chaos mode. Armed with piñata sticks, bazookas, and pure unhinged energy, the minions jump into the fray. They fire off wild fireworks and explosions, throwing the monster army into complete disorientation. Dort finds his courage, stepping directly between Irene and the helpless victims with giant hero energy. Dort commands the monsters to call off their attack before he unleashes his full power. Gumi laughs in his face, thinking Irene makes their evil faction completely invincible. But the minions back Dort up, overwhelming Irene with chaotic gadgets and non-stop physical combat. James realizes the only way to beat Irene is to reverse the dark spell that brought her here. James starts shouting the reversal spell, aiming to undo the magic and seal Irene back in her realm. Irene screams in rage as a massive dimensional vortex pulls her backward into the void. Seeing their boss sucked back into the abyss, the rest of the monster crew turns tail and runs for their lives. The rift slams shut with a blinding flash, locking Irene away for good and saving the planet. Henry is pulled out of danger just in time, totally unharmed thanks to James's clutch magic play. Debbie rushes into Dort's metallic arms, celebrating their massive victory over the evil army. Plot twist: Ed had his camera rolling during the entire apocalyptic showdown, capturing every single second. With real kaiju combat on tape, James spends the next few months editing the ultimate action masterpiece. Flash forward to premiere night, where a sold-out theater gathers to watch James's finished film. The movie is an absolute hit, with the crowd cheering at every explosive action sequence on screen. James takes the stage to a thunderous standing ovation, realizing his lifelong dream has come true. The entire crowd chants James's name as he bows, soaking in the glory of true Hollywood success. Henry and the crew cheer loudly from the front row, insanely proud of what they accomplished together. What started as a chaotic monster plot turned into the ultimate hit movie fun for the whole family. The party continues into the night as the minions celebrate surviving the apocalypse and dominating the box office. They faced unimaginable adversity, but came out on top as a true tribe and unbreakable friends. Against all odds, James proved that even the smallest minion can direct a legendary cinematic hit. It was not easy, but their chaotic journey proved that sticking together solves any problem. They proved to the entire world that main character energy always prevails over evil forces. As the credits roll on screen, James officially wraps up his directorial debut with immense pride. And that wraps up this mind-blowing, adrenaline-fueled minion adventure from start to finish. If you were low-key hooked on this insane movie recap, smash that like button right now. Don't forget to hit subscribe and turn on notification bell so you never miss another wild recap. Drop a comment down below letting me know which blockbuster movie you want us to explain next. Thanks for watching, stay awesome, and I will catch you legends in the very next video.